Welcome to day 2 of the launch journal for selling a high value product. I'm Jason Zook.
I'm Caroline Zook.
My pen matches you.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
Oh, can't see the pen. Can't see the pen.
Not planned.
Where'd it go?
Penaflage. Weird. Anyway, this is launch day for BuyOurFuture.
I had no idea.
It's pretty exciting.
I don't know why, just my instinct was to play that card. But
by the way, I'm going to mess with people's minds if they watched the previous day and I said you're going to be here. Now you're over here. I hope they'll be okay with that.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
I have my list of things to go over, but by the way, just as a reminder, this is kind of a confessional style video, not a lot of like extra bells and whistles to this. We just wanted it to be real talk about what it's like to sell something and what's going into selling that thing for 2 weeks.
And I have no idea what we're talking about this time.
Oh, you didn't know yesterday because you weren't here. Okay, first thing that I want to talk about is, for Caroline, what's launch day like? What does it feel like to launch a bigger product? Because we've launched $20 products, $100 products, $300 products, but this is a big leap to launch a $2,000 thing.
You're telling me. So I kind of think of launch day in like 2 different buckets. The experience, let's say. In the one bucket, you have like the day itself, the things you're doing. So that's like potentially running around, trying to get the website going, making sure people, people can buy.
Not physically running around though.
I mean, sometimes there might be running around, but it's like the sometimes frantic energy of getting all the things done. Thankfully, we've done this enough times that that is not the case for the doing part of it. Like launch day for us typically is very calm.
Smooth.
Yeah, because it's all like the 2 weeks and the 3 weeks prior have been like cram time.
Not very
crunch
smooth.
time is what I meant.
Cram time?
I did cram time, which I feel like is a little weird, but crunch
different
time.
video series.
Yeah. So today is almost like a relief because you're just like, oh, now it's actually just like keeping the plan, going.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think so much of launch day with a big project, there's a lot of expectations, there's a lot of things, but we've done this multiple times. You have a second bucket, which we'll get to in a moment. But what does it feel like? Like, does it feel exciting? Does it feel scary? Does it feel like, I know one thing we've talked about that I think just continues to show up no matter how many times you do this, there's always self-doubt.
Well, that's what I was going to say. My second bucket is.
Oh,
so like
2 birds, 1 stone.
So the first bucket is like all the doing, and the second bucket is like the feeling. So like, what does it feel like? And there have been launches where that self-doubt is like the perfect term for it. You feel like it's so funny. You do all this work, and then you're like, no one's gonna buy.
Yeah.
I just know it.
Yeah.
Just no one's gonna buy. The clock has run out on my ability to sell things, and this is gonna be the time where we have no sales. So that has happened to me before, especially the first time that we did this together, like the spring launch. You can ask Jason. I was just like, I don't know why we did this together. No one's gonna want it, and that's not the case. And so thankfully now this time, that's not the case anymore. I definitely, usually it just shows up in like a moment where I'm just like, what if no one bought? Like that would be interesting. Like that would suck, but it's just for a moment. And then I trust us and what we've built and the product and the community. And thankfully we've executed a similar version of this plan before. So I have real data to actually back up my confidence. But yeah, I just feel there's sort of an excitement in terms of uncertainty. Yeah.
I think everyone's motivated by money to a certain degree. We all want more sales and we want more things because it's exciting, but we don't, like, our success isn't driven by those numbers. Our success is driven by this thing being stress-free, this thing being fun, this thing being something that we look forward to doing. Adding this video journal, truthfully, it adds pressure to us because you got to set up the camera, you got to do all the things, and it's an extra hour or so a day at least, just in the thinking, the doing, the executing of this series, and we don't know if it's going to be worth it. Like, this could be a complete flop and no value to anybody, but we're testing that assumption as we do with a lot of different things, and our motto for our family is life is an experiment, so we're always experimenting. I do think you bring up a good point with the previous launch that we did of BuyOurFuture in the spring to now this one, is that we didn't really do any pre-marketing before that one.
Right.
So this one we did a lot of pre-marketing.
Except for our regular like newsletters and providing
but I
value.
meant, like, focused, like BuyOurFuture, this is the thing. So Future Finding was that series.
Yep.
I'm very curious to see what that does and if that contributes. We usually do a post-launch survey of people who buy and say, like, where would you hear about this from? Was there something that got you into this? And I'm hoping that a good amount of those people were Future Finding. Otherwise, we did all that work for nothing. Not for nothing. I'm also hoping
potentially, one of those could be the journal, like the following. That could be fun.
I don't think so, but we'll see. Okay, so let's move on to social media strategy.
Yes.
I was not fundamentally opposed to this, but I have no strategy when it comes to social media anymore. And I want to caveat there that I believe in social media. I used it in 2008, 2009, 2010. It has been a very productive thing for me as a business owner, but it's very crowded. It's very loud. It's very noisy. And I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time trying to cut through all that clutter. I'd rather spend that time doing things that I know pay off. So one thing that we've used every single time, I mentioned this yesterday, is retargeting on Facebook. That just makes sense. I don't think that's necessarily a social media strategy other than it's more of kind of a...
It's an ad strategy, a paid ad strategy, yeah.
So we have a different strategy this time around, and you're spearheading that.
Right. So Jason and I have like a slightly different view on social media. Like he said, it's not like you believe that it's not working. It's just that you believe it's not worth the time investment. And you don't like the way it feels. I think
I don't like the way it
thing.
feels, and I just truthfully, I don't like that you can't get a concrete ROI out of it.
Right.
So you put in all this work and you don't know what the results are going to be. And I like doing things where I can have measurable result. And I get it. I get that social media is very valuable. I built a business on it. But the way that it is right now, I struggle with it. So.
And my opinion is a little bit different from the perspective of, I know that there's no way for me to see like, well, except for like surveying people after they buy and saying, you know, where did you find us or whatever. But it's very hard to quantify social media and its effect, especially because sometimes people will see something a million times on social media and then maybe they'll buy from an email or they'll buy from an ad or something like that. However, I follow this rational line of thought, which is that people can't buy from you if they don't know you exist. People can't buy from you if they don't trust you. People can't buy from you if they're not seeing you multiple times so that you're kind of in their realm of consciousness. So I follow the rational thought that where do people spend their time and attention? They spend it on social media. That is just the world that we live in. So I'm happy to operate on the belief that if we are present in those places, we will be in front of people, there will be an awareness, and that could lead to sales. And because I enjoy it, I use enjoyment with like an asterisk, because it's like I don't enjoy spending every second on there, and sometimes it stresses me out to like have to live my life and then also share my life. It just feels like a lot for being a human. But this time around, I've kind of taken the approach of, let's just try something. Let's just actually have a strategy this time and say, and by strategy, I mean our only strategy is to like do something and be present. And it's really as an awareness play of just being on top of mind for people and providing hopefully helpful and interesting things, sprinkling in, you know, what BuyOurFuture is about and community testimonials and things like that. But really it's just about being more present than I normally am or normally would be. So that's kind of the top level strategy. And the way that that breaks down is like Instagram stories, which we've kind of planned out a general focus for those each day. I'm taking over Jason's Facebook page.
That I haven't used in years, which has been super dormant, but it has worked in that people have been retargeted through that page and has led to sales. As I mentioned yesterday, it's about 7 to 10 sales every time we do a BuyOurFuture launch. So we're taking the approach this time around. You didn't want to see like a barren desert if someone went to that page of content. So we're doing the combined Facebook account. The wife is there to take over. It's not combined. You're just there taking over and then sharing these kind of entrepreneurial confessional stories of things that we've worked on that haven't gone well, and just really trying to be transparent and honest about what it takes to be an entrepreneur and to succeed, and to continue to do this over time and to not give up and then just go like get some job.
Yep. And the two lessons I kind of want to share, if anyone has like a takeaway from that, are think about the context of that ecosystem. So Facebook is definitely that place for like the confession style, maybe longer posts, a little bit more vulnerable. It's just an emotional place, I feel like. And photos do really well. So we're just sharing photos of us and stories.
A lot of baby photos. You'll be seeing a lot of baby photos.
We just hired a baby to be our sort of surrogate on the page. No. So that's our approach there. Instagram, one thing I learned with last launch is that if you just post like photos of the product or of the logo or announcing a sale, they don't get a lot of engagement, which is fine. Maybe you know that it's just an awareness play, but I wanted to take the approach this time of trying to work in BuyOurFuture messaging into my types of posting that people already like. So my art, doing messages that relate back to BuyOurFuture, or photos of us, or sharing things about our lifestyle. That's kind of been my approach. And Jason's going to be, we've determined his strategy is more behind the scenes stuff and like what it's like being an entrepreneur. So
yeah, so I don't have an Instagram strategy.
Well, I gave you one.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And one thing that we have talked about before the BuyOurFuture launch started and just our pre-planning was, if we can do something, it doesn't take a lot of extra time and energy, let's not have things that we regret at the end of this. We talked about that during the last launch of BuyOurFuture, so we'll see what I come up with. I have no idea what it's going to be. You have more of a plan than I do. So let's just touch on other things. So Twitter, Really no plan there.
No, you're just going to tweet and I'm going to retweet you because I never think of like, oh, this would be a good tweet. And
So it's
your
just
brain
me
works like
finding the best MC Hammer GIFs I can. One thing that we're adding this year is one more thing, social strategy. We did an Instagram Live today, first one. No idea what that's going to do, but we did it.
That was our first, again, it's that mentality of like experiment.
Yeah.
And you don't want to look back and say to yourself, man, I wish I would have done more, or man, like I don't know if this would have made a difference. So we kind of just approach it with like a curious type of open-mindedness where we're like,
see what
let's
happens.
just see what happens.
Okay, I just want to bring that up. I've got notes here. Sales. For this time around, we added a $200 10-month payment plan. So that was one of the things that we tried at the end of last year, was to introduce a smaller amount of money per month with a longer month payment plan because people had asked for that. And so we did that, and last time around, I think that ended up being 5 to 10 sales.
And we only did that. We didn't do that publicly. So it was just when people started giving us that feedback.
Just people who had clicked too. Like at the very end, it was like we had a pool of 400 some odd people who had clicked through multiple emails. They didn't buy. They'd been to the website. So it was a very like targeted audience. And a couple of those people then bought that. So my prediction for this launch, having that payment plan on the Buy Our Future payment page or just sales page, is that 50% of the buyers will probably be that payment plan.
I totally agree. I really think that
Pick a different number though, so we can come back to this and be like, ooh, who was right?
60%.
Wow. Bold.
Bold.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that's a new addition to this.
What else you got?
Questions from Twitter. So this is one thing that I mentioned yesterday and we'll try and keep doing here as you guys keep asking questions. What questions do you have about selling a high-valued product? Ask them on Twitter. There is a link below this. Oh, I didn't mention a lot of the links and things below this, so that's going to be the one here. But today's question, I have my tweet machine here.
We're super high budget here.
Very fancy. Okay, this tweet comes from Pete McPherson, and Pete asked, do we have to follow the widespread 18 email launch formulas?
Well, Pete, we actually, I mean, I assume he's talking about like the email kind
Just
of
in
pitch.
general, people doing, like a bunch of emails.
We don't follow a formula. We use the common sense strategy, which is, I mean, I guess the general formula that I will say is the blanket statement that we have sort of listened to other people about is don't be afraid to email people.
Yeah.
Like we definitely went sparse the first two Buy My Futures when you did it.
Yeah.
And last spring was the first time we really felt like we empowered ourselves to say, we believe in this product. We believe in the community. Let's people care and want to know. So let's not kind of just send one email and pretend that that's going to sell a $2,000 product.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like, you're going to have to send more emails. You're going to have more touch points. You're going to have to prove the value more. And that's going to take more emails because we know from experience, if you write a long email, people aren't going to read it.
Yeah.
People don't have time for that. They're not going to read a long email, even though we still send them. So yeah, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule here, just like yesterday's question from Dr. Paul and Brian. There's no rule. It's just send the amount of emails it takes for you to feel good, like you're proving the value. And remember in those emails, you can spend so much time, and we do this at Buy Our Future, making the thing, building the thing. And then you go, well, I need to talk about the thing in these emails. That's not what's going to get someone to buy. What's going to get someone to buy is how does that thing transform their life? How does that thing change their life? So we're really trying to change that. Oh, and other linky thing I can put below is this mindset kind of shift for me is I don't like selling the dream. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's a good thing to trick people or to tell them like, oh, you know, this has worked for one person. It's going to work for everybody. I don't think that's true. So we're trying to sell the reality. So instead, we're telling the stories of Buy Our Future people, the successes they've had. You'll see those. We have 4 of those on the homepage now that we didn't have before. So we're really trying to push that as well. So it's relatable. You can see other people in your position maybe.
What's the link? Like what you just said, linky poo, and then you were like...
It's a podcast episode that I did about selling the reality, not the dream.
That makes more sense.
Way to clear that up. That would have been confusing.
I was like, wait, anyway. But yes, absolutely, we like selling, and we like selling the reality. And one thing I was going to say is we just like kind of doubling down on our strengths. And I think that our strength as a community and the content we write and just us as people is honesty, transparency. We're not afraid to share the more vulnerable things that are like, this didn't work out. We tried this and it, didn't go well. So if we can go all in on that and do stuff like this where we're actually sharing behind the scenes, we try to do as much of that as possible. And same with our email pitch approach. I
think a lot of what we do when we're selling is you just have trust and belief in the fact that the thing is good enough. You've invested enough in that. And all the other things that you do, this journal, our Instagram stories, the workshops that we do, anything, the emails that we send, It's that you know the product is good enough, so you're just trying to get more things in front of people so that they'll find the product and go, okay, this is the right fit for me.
And like you said, focusing on what that transformation is.
Right.
Because that's the thing that excites us most about BuyOurFuture is that we've seen it work. We've seen the transformation. We've seen people make the commitment and literally just on a belief that they're ready for a big change. And then they come into the community, they take advantage of the products, they connect with us.
I don't know why so many people bought the first time around. There was nothing to transform it. That's not true, though. Every product had its own transformation. That's true. Okay, let's wrap this thing up because this light is getting super weird. That's like appeared on me.
It's kind of doing like the art thing behind you.
It's just a t-shirt design.
It's really actually lining up with this diagonal really well, and it's freaking me out.
All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you have questions, please send them to that link on Twitter that's below. If you want to leave comments on YouTube, do that. Dano, by the way, if you watched all the way this through, awesome to see you watching these videos on your TV in your living room. Hilarious that you were still subscribed to this YouTube channel, which we could talk about tomorrow, why we chose to do these on YouTube as opposed to Wistia.
We should do just a throwback I Wear Your Shirt like skit.
Just do one, just bring it back.
Just throw it in the mix, like for LaCroix.
The OG people. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Go check out BuyOurFuture.com.